let me turn on the laser pointer, that will be much better. Okay, so welcome all of you for another live problem solving session for the course Introduction to Semiconductor Devices, which is being conducted by Professor Naresh Imani from IIT Hyderabad. Just to introduce myself again, since some of you may be joining the session for maybe first time. So I'm Soham Lakhote, currently a fourth year PhD student at IISc Bangalore, working under Professor Gaurav Banerjee in the area of analog and RF circuits, and my research problem deals with the vital signs monitoring using the radars. So now the organization will be same. We will be having first 50 or 60 minutes of session. Then we will take a 5 or 10 minutes of break depending on how much time we are left with. And again we will resume the session. Just for the formality purpose, I have already copy pasted the link for this YouTube channel where I will be uploading all the lectures, and in the description section of those videos you will be able to find the link for the presentation folder for that particular lecture. So I hope you all are able to access the recordings and as well as the lecture notes. So now let me move on to the next slides. Okay, so what we have done till now is we have first looked at the Schrodinger's equation, that is the particle in the box. Then we said how the wave functions interact. Then after the interaction of wave functions and all, we found out that the in the lattice, right, we have the concepts of energy band diagram, right? So we have the conduction band, we have the valence band, then we have the forbidden energy band gap, right? And we also studied something called as the EK diagram. And from the curvature of the EK diagram, we studied about the mobility. The mobility was nothing but the ease with which the electron will be able to move freely in the crystal, right? And we also studied the concepts of the drifts and the diffusion. We solved a lot of numericals in the previous session. We also understood why the drifts and the diffusion currents are very important. I also told you that depending on the what you can say the process, that is either the diffusion or the drift, the equation between the voltage and the current of all these devices, that is MOSFETs, BJTs and diode, they will change. So what we found in the last lecture was that because of the diffusion process, the diode and especially the BJT has the exponential characteristics between the voltage and the current, but that does not happen for the MOSFET because the movement of the carriers between the drain and the source. So you will understand the structure of the MOSFET in very much depth when sir will start teaching it. So because the movement of the carriers, that is the carriers which are actually causing the current, it is because of the drift in the MOSFET, and that is why its characteristics between the current and the voltage, the function is different compared to the BJT and the diode as well, right? So now in this week's lecture, what we had studied, it is about the PN junction. We had individually studied about the drift, the diffusion. We had just looked at the single semiconductor slab, that is either doped with the P type or N type or even the normal without any doping. So we have just seen the concept of the single semiconductor slab. Now what we are trying to do, we are trying to metallurgically join these two different semiconductor slabs which have the different types of dopings. What do I mean by that? On the left side we have the P type, on the right side we have the N type, right? So what happens when you metallurgically join the junction and what are its characteristics? So we will also understand why we need to study the PN junction, what are its importance, and why we study the PN junction at first place, and we will look into it in very much depth. So now what I will be doing in the first half is I have some questions for you guys. So we will have a very interactive session. I will ask you some questions, you can ask me some questions, right? And we will try to clear some basic confusions that arise in your mind because you will be studying this course maybe for the first time, right? So what we'll be doing, I have some conceptual questions over here. So we will go over these concepts and we will see whether these concepts are making sense or not. So now I have the first question in front of you. So what is this? So this is your typical capacitor. So this is what you denote it with this, right? So this is what is your called as parallel plate capacitor. Parallel plate capacitor, right? So now I have just connected a battery across it, right? And so what is the job of this battery? The job of the battery is nothing but to push, to give the field that is necessary for the movement of electrons. So what is actually happening? So now I will ask you guys, so these positive charges that you are seeing over here, so we have studied the concept in the semiconductor, right? You have a EC, you have EV, right? And what did we say? The electrons, when they move from the valence band to the conduction band, they leave behind a vacancy. They leave behind the vacancy, and these are called as holes, right? And what did we say? The holes are basically we treat them as a positively charged particles, and electron we treat them as a negatively charged. Correct. So now my question to you guys: these capacitors, right? They are of course these parallel plates. They are made up of conductor. They are not made up of semiconductor. They are made up of conductors. So following is my question: are those positive charges that you are seeing on this top plate? So do they correspond to holes, or what are these positive charges actually? So now this is the first question that I am asking you. Can anybody please unmute yourself and just try to answer the question?
Holes.
Holes. Okay. So first answer I got is that these positive charges are actually holes. Huh? Huh? Correct. So yeah. So what are these positive charges? Like, is it like they are holes, or it is something different? Huh? Correct. So what is this actually? So why there is a positive and why there is a negative over here? So what are these actually? These positive charges are holes, or they are something else? Something else. So what is that something else? Higher potential of what? Means what has happened exactly? What has happened? Why this plate is negatively charged and why this is positively charged? Correct. Correct. Battery I have connected like this. Okay. So now what battery will do? Hmm. Hello. Your voice actually broke down in between. Are you able to hear me? Yeah. So I will just tell you one thing. The job of the battery is to just what you can say, just to give that electromotive force to the carriers, right? This is what battery does. Correct? Yeah, correct. So now when you apply the battery over here, what is actually happening? The carriers will face force or not? Force will be applied across those carriers.
Yes, sir.
Correct, right? So now, can you just tell me whether the conductor contains a lot of electrons or a lot of holes?
Electrons. I think
Half of the statement was correct. The rest half I will add something over there. So now what that ma'am said is like, okay, so the electron is nothing but a reservoir of electrons. Now what is happening, the moment I applied the battery, the job of the battery is to apply the force in such a way that it will take the electrons from this particular plate, right? So and now if there was a direct, of course, what you can say, the job of the battery is to just apply the force, right? So now what she said is was the correct. So it will try to repel, since it's a positively charged over here, it's a negatively charged over here. So this charge is directly coming over here, correct? But if you think about it, right, what is actually physically happening? The electrons are being removed from this positively charged plate. This charge, the positive charge was not there. This or both these plates were actually neutral before you connected them with the battery, correct? Now because you made a connection, right, you made a connection. Now what this battery will be doing, the electron from here will be removed from the top plate. Now it will try to deposit on the bottom plate. Now the second electron will try to move from the upper plate, it will try to get deposit on the bottom plate. Now this process will continue, and because the electrons, only electrons, not the atoms, only electrons are being removed from the top plate, that is why, because of that, a positive charges will start to develop. What do I mean by positive charge over here? Let me just make it clear for you. Let's say I have a phosphorus atom. By the way, I'm just giving you an example of semiconductor just to give you a very clear picture. And you know that it is being bonded with what you can say, the four adjacent silicon atoms. That is how the lattice gets formed, right? But you know there exists an extra electron, and this is free, right? I'm just assuming that the room temperature energy is sufficient to ionize this completely, correct? The moment this electron is free, then this electron will move away from this phosphorus atom, correct? Now can anyone please tell me, if I just consider only this system, right? So is it a charge neutral, or there is some charge that is present in this particular system?
Charge neutral.
Charge neutral, right? So who is balancing the charge of this electron, the extra electron that phosphorus has bought? Correct. So currently it is not donating. Currently the electron is present as it is. So now who is balancing out this charge of this electron? Correct. Exactly. Very good. So corresponding to all the electrons that are present around this phosphorus, right? The protons are also present inside the nucleus of the phosphorus atoms, right? Now what happens? Now let's come to the case what that ma'am told us, right? When this electron actually moved out of the system to move freely into the lattice, now you have broken this electron away from this phosphorus atom. Now but this proton that is present inside the nucleus of the phosphorus atom, it is still present, correct? So when this electron goes away out of the system, this system becomes net positively charged. I hope this is very much clear to you. Atoms cannot move because they are bonded by other neighboring atoms and they are not free to move in the lattice. Correct? So only electrons are going, electrons are capable of moving, and because the proton that is present inside the nucleus, which was balancing the charge of this electron that phosphorus atom had brought, since this cannot move, that means there is a net positive charge that will be developed, and this is what we called as the ionized. You must have heard this term, ionized immobile charges, right? So this is what is happening. This phosphorus will develop a relatively positive charge because after breaking away this electron out of the system, there is nobody to balance out this positive charge that is present inside the proton. So there is nothing in the system to balance it out. So that's why we tell you that you can consider this as positively charged immobile ion. Now what is actually happening over here? Let's come to the case of this capacitor. All the electrons, because of the force that is being applied by the battery, the electrons are being removed from the top plate and they are being deposited on the bottom plate, right? And that's why you will be seeing there, what you can say, a positive charge will be developed on the top plate and a negative charge will be developed on the bottom plate. Right? So this positive charge that is being developed, it is not because of the holes, it is because electrons are leaving this top metal plate and they are being deposited on the bottom plate. So that is why we are developing this positive charge. Now next question comes. So you must have heard from the sir that if you draw a diagrams of the semiconductor, metals and the insulator as well, correct? So insulator has a very wide band gap between the conduction band and the valence band. Semiconductor has a little bit narrow, and there does not exist the concept of this energy band gap in the metal. In fact, if you look, so this is my conduction band and this is my valence band. So the gray area that you are seeing over here, it is showing the overlap of the conduction and the valence band. Correct? Now what was happening in the semiconductor, I will just draw it quickly over here. So this was my conduction band and this was my valence band. So when the electron, see the valence band is completely filled with the electrons, right? So when these electrons actually jump from the valence band to the conduction band, they left behind a vacancy which we called as a hole, correct? And now what is happening in the case of the metal? See, first of all, to create a hole, I will just write it, to create a hole. Okay, somebody wants to join. Yeah. To create a hole, just a minute. Yeah. Electron must jump from valence band to conduction band, correct? Valence band to conduction band. But in case of the metals, this valence band and conduction bands are completely overlapped. What do I mean by that? So if these bands, let's say, let me just draw it with a different color so that it will be much better. Where is my pointer option? Pen, ink color, maybe blue will do the job. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? Yeah. So this blue one is my valence band, and the red one that you are seeing over here, this is my conduction band. since they are overlapped complete, since they are partially overlapped over here, so the electrons which are actually sitting over here, that is at the top of the valence band, they don't have to jump at all, because conduction band is overlapping with the valence band. And what did I tell you? For holes to exist, electrons must jump from the valence band to the conduction band to create a vacancy, and only then we get the concept of the holes. Since the conduction bands and valence bands are overlapped over here, electrons don't have to jump. There is no concept of the forbidden energy band gap in the case of the metal, and that's why we say metals are nothing but the reservoir of electrons. Correct? Since electrons are not living, electrons are moving over here itself. Correct? They may move. See, there will be existing a multiple energy levels. These electrons may move from here to here. That is not a problem, right? So now if these electrons are not jumping, correct, they are not leaving behind any vacancy, there does not exist a concept of holes in the metals. I will just write it. There does not exist a concept of hole in metals. So that's why even before studying the semiconductor, like in your high school physics or in your college, you never heard the concept about the holes, right? You would not have heard any professor or teacher telling you that there exist holes in the metals, correct? So this was the reason why the holes does not exist in the metal, and what is the condition for the holes to actually exist, correct? So I hope this question is clear to you. So the answer for this question is those positively charged, they are not at all holes. So they are nothing but the deficiency of the electrons which is being caused because you have applied the battery across this capacitor, correct? So I hope this concept is very much clear. If you guys have any doubts, please feel free to poke me at any point. I won't be able to read the chat section since I'm sharing my screen now, right? So now let's move on to the next concept. This is another very good question. So diffusion current to create voltage across the resistor. So what do I mean by that? So let's say this is your semiconductor slab, not a PN junction, or only a semiconductor slab, right? It is N-type dope, but it's a non-uniform doping. So I have a non-uniform doping. Now what I am doing with this? So I have a metal contact over here because you just cannot connect the wire inside the semiconductor like this. So you have to place some contact over here, right? And after taking that contact, I have placed a load resistor across this semiconductor slab. Correct? Now my question is, see, what you are seeing over here, there is a concentration gradient that exists. So because of that concentration gradient, I of course expect that diffusion current, which will be Q mu n dn by dx, right? Just a minute. Let me just search. Is this formula correct, or I missed something over here?
QDP.
Oh, QDP. Sorry, very sorry. Yeah, QDN dn by dx. Correct. So this is wrong. So don't consider mu n over here. Correct. So QDN dn by dx. So accordingly, expect that there will be a diffusion current that will be flowing inside this semiconductor slab. So now if I complete the circuit, see, voltage can exist even when your circuit is open, but current needs a closed path, right? Current needs a closed path. So now my question is, if this load resistor, let's say this represents some kind of load, maybe your light bulb or any kind of load, a small load, not a very big load. So now my question is, will this diffusion current, if I complete the circuit like this, can it drive this light bulb, or can it generate a voltage across this resistor, that is plus minus VR? Can this diffusion current do that or no? No. Okay, what is the reason for that? No external supplies there. Very good. So logically it is not making any sense, correct? Hello. Yeah, so even if supply is not there, will this diffusion current exist over here, or it won't exist? Yeah. Haha. Exactly, very good. Really good, very good, very good. So what that guy just said is okay. So first electrons will actually start to move from here to here, but just like what I had explained in few slides back, the concept of this immobile charges, right? So when the electron, which phosphorus atom had brought, when it moves from right to left, so it creates a positive charge, immobile charge, right? And this electron moves from here to here. So in this particular domain everything was actually balanced, correct? But this extra electron came over here and this it caused this system to become a net negatively charged, correct? This is not immobile, okay? This electron came over here, this is free carrier, so it is capable of moving. But this positive that you are seeing over here, this is because of the immobile phosphorus atom. So now when a lot of electrons starts to move, right, then a lot of positive and negative charges will develop like this. It will create some kind of a dipole. You can clearly see a region of negative and region of positive charges. And because the electric field exists in between, correct, now the diffusion actually wanted electrons to move from right